Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome into the ultimate Cleveland sports show, guys. Big show planned for you, Mikey McNuggets, G. Bush, Jason Lloyd coming at you on a Wednesday afternoon. We got some Cavs on the docket. We got some Browns on the docket.
Yes,
we have
indeed.
some Guardians on the docket. We got Leroy and Coach Spencer joining us later in the show. But before we went on air, guys, we were just talking about some other professions that we may have gotten into had we decided to not pursue a career in sports. And sometimes you guys are mentioning medical careers. I'd be a dangerous person at my age if I was making a medical salary. I'm just telling you that right now.
I mean,
it would not end well.
I mean, it's kind of difficult because you work too long. Like, you would have to, like, think about it. We just talked about beforehand. Like, I used to always laugh and joke with my surgeon because I felt like I was with him more than the coaching staff. So
became boys with the surgeon.
Yeah, boys with the surgeon. So we would be like, I'm like, man, this must be great, man. You getting bags? He opened my whole eyes up to, like, he's like, yeah. You gotta have crazy liability insurance. He's like, you gotta pay for your anesthesiologist and your hospital room, and on top of that, you do surgeries on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So he's like, if you out hanging out, good luck. Like, you gotta be ready to go literally into the game. Now that's the real backup quarterback at a moment's notice.
Yeah, that's true. Well, at your age, you wouldn't make anything because you'd be just out of residency. So you'd be making $30,000.
If I had,
they rob those doctors when they got them in medical school.
I worked in local TV for 7 years before doing this, and the jump up from local TV to what I make now, which is a perfectly normal amount of money, it's nothing crazy, does not compute to going from like residency to doctor. I mean, I made
them student loans be crazy.
That's right. You've been in school for 8 years to be a doctor, more than that.
And could you imagine your wife is going to spend on the doctor's thought process, not the doctor's budget?
No.
There is no way you could tell a wife, no, if you're a doctor.
You know what's worse than that? My wife was the daughter of a cardiothoracic surgeon, vascular thoracic surgeon, and she married a sports writer.
Bless her heart.
She went from champagne taste to a beer budget.
Hey, bro, she must be. We talk about ride or die. She must be really down. She like you, bro. Like she done downgraded her whole lifestyle. This is crazy.
You went from being the daughter of a vascular thoracic surgeon. He did hearts. He did legs and lungs. He did all that stuff. To a sports writer. And
you know, I always call the people. You're a big time doctor. That if they have to call you and be like, doctor, they're life flighting a patient to us today. You have to get up and come in at a moment's notice. Yeah, you getting crazy bag. Your bag is a life saving bag.
That was him. Yeah. When he would go on vacation, they'd have to send patients downtown. There was no one else who did what he did.
Crazy.
Dang.
If you didn't get into sports, Jason, what would you have done? You ever thought about that?
Yeah, because two things. In school, I wanted to be an accountant. And I took one accounting class and was like, I know, right?
With all due respect.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Accounting 101 almost ended my career. 101 and 102, dog, listen.
I didn't even make it to 102.
Man,
You're making a class number two, it sounds like.
No, and by the way, I wasn't going to class like that, bro. Like, back then, it was just like, I don't know what was wrong with me. I was bad. Like, they would be like, dude, we're going to check this class. Are you still not going to go?
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I got to be right now. I'm going to just take the laps, bro. Counting is hard.
I had no interest in going to college out of high school. I never took an ACT or an SAT in my life because I was not going to go to college.
Like, just going to work?
I was going to work in a factory.
Oh.
That's all I was going to do. I was going to work in a factory. And I worked in a factory one summer after I graduated high school. Shout out Lorraine Products. In Lorraine, it's probably not even there. It's not even there anymore. And I soldered circuit boards for a summer. I was like, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I got to come up with something else.
Dude, I worked at a place after college called Republic Storage, and they made metal lockers. They would like melt the lockers and melt them down. And my job was sitting on an assembly line, taking the doors, sanding them down, and taking them off this little skid and putting them on a row hanger, and we just put them. And I'm just like, man, it's like 120 degrees in this place, and I did that, and it was mandatory 12 hours, bro. So I did some crazy. I worked on a garbage truck for a whole summer.
Did you?
You
really?
were a garbage man?
Man, I was 16, 17, and it was a summer job. And we worked on a garbage truck, and it was before all the electronics. So I was what we call a jumper. So the rest of the dudes sat in the truck. So I was at.
You're the one hopping off, getting the actual trash can, bringing it back.
Yeah, I said, man, you don't never know how many houses on a block till you go to every house on the block.
Yep.
Yeah, it's wild work.
I sold vacuum cleaners door to door.
Kirby sweepers.
I did.
Yo, my goodness.
Kirby. I sold
yes,
Kirby.
Sir. Kirby sweepers is the greatest. They would come. Now, listen, he don't understand. Them Kirby sweepers, y'all used to have them little pads, the white ones.
And you'd suck it up and you'd put the pad out and show all the dirt that was in their house.
Let me show you how nasty your carpet
Yep.
is. And then you'd be there the whole day. If you sign up for a Kirby sweeper, dude, if they give you the deluxe treatment, this Kirby sweeper can pull up the dirt, and then they turn it into a wet vac. And then they just
shampoo
the whole thing. Your carpet be wet for 5 days.
You vacuum the mattress to show them how nasty the mattress was that they were sleeping on.
Them Kirby sweepers in the 80s during the inflation area was over thousands. That was like 2,500.
I mean, I sold them. Gosh, it was probably in mid 90s when I was selling them, and they were over $2,000.
2,000.
And they would send me to like the roughest neighborhoods in Cleveland with these things. And I would call my boss. I'm like, bro, there's bars on the window. He said, that's the house you want. They got money. They got bars on the window.
Hey, you know what? He's right. Because my grandmother, I don't know where she got this invisible means of money.
Yeah.
But my grandmother was like, no, she had QVC, and I thought she was the greatest person in the world because she had a charge card. So I thought I was stupid. I'm like, Grandma is so rich, she just call the people and just say on QVC, she see it on TV and get it.
Yeah.
That's where I get it from today. I just see it. I'm like, no, Rosie, figure it out. Figure it out, Rosie. I need that and that. But she bought a Kirby sweeper, and she had the dude. I'm like, dang, Grandma, you been here 5 hours. She bought this sweeper, and the dude was getting discouraged, like, man, they ain't gonna buy nothing. And she's like, hey, she called my grandma, William, go get my purse book. And go get my purse book. Yeah. And she wrote the check, and I was like,
yeah,
you got the Kirby sweeper and lit up and everything. Man, that was wild work. That's so crazy, Jason.
I remember I was in one house, because you got to start pre-qualifying these people as soon as you walk in.
Yeah.
You say, like, how long have you lived here? Where did you live prior to here? What do you do for work? Mm-hmm. All you're trying to do is build, do they have any credit? Can they finance this? So I walk in, and this dude wanted nothing to do with me. His girlfriend was there. And I said, how long you lived here? And he goes, 6 weeks. I said, where were you before this? He goes, jail. I was like, oh my God.
Cell block 5?
So
D block?
He left, and the girl starts like, she goes, you're cute. And I was like, no.
Get out.
Lord, get me out of here.
This is the Jason Lloyd story I wanted. This one right here. This the Kirby sweeper and the Atlanta strip off. This is crazy. I love them stories.
Oh,
this
man.
is wild.
At some point, and we'll dive into topics in 1 sec, but at some point before we all leave and whatever, like whenever that time comes, we're going to have to do like a UCSS gathering for everybody, like for you guys. Bring everyone out, kind of like the remote show we did at Wilson's, and just tell nondescript, non-sports stories about previous lives that we have lived.
Right. Them is the best
There'd be
stories.
no phones allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be like
we're bringing out the Chappelle envelopes. You got to put your phone in.
NDAs.
There will be no NDAs, but like get in some of the nitty-gritty stuff when we talk about some of the people we talk to and from. Like,
oh boy, that's the best time.
That would be the best way if for whatever reason down the road UCSS isn't like that would be the ultimate send-off. Like hopefully we never have to get there. Yeah.
If it ends today, like you'd be like, listen, come on down for the one last hurrah. We're gonna tell you where all the skeletons at.
Exactly.
And we're gonna have a great time.
I'll start emptying the notebook and start telling everything.
Jason alone will be worth the price of admission, and everything else is
unload
just
the chamber on
him. All right, before we get ourselves in trouble for saying things we shouldn't say, let's talk about what we need to talk about today, and that is our first topic.
Yeah, guys, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download the FanDuel app today and get started.
All right, guys, the Browns made a deal at the trade deadline yesterday. It may be the most non-sexy move in the history of deadline deals. The Browns traded Joe Tyron Shoyinka and a 7th-round pick to the Chicago Bears in exchange for a 6th-round pick. We talked all in the lead-up, guys, about will they be buyers, will they be sellers, Njoku, Tellers, Shelby Harris, Rayshawn Jenkins. Could those guys be on the move? And lo and behold, they are all still here for the remaining 9 games of the season. G, when you saw what the Browns did, turning Joe Tyron Shoyinka, a.k.a. JTS, so we don't have to say his name anymore, and a 7th into a 6, a Minimowski move, to steal your word, are you surprised that that is the only move they executed at the deadline?
No. I mean, in the words of Jason Lloyd, what did you think they were going to do? Like, what move were they going to?
I thought they were going to do something. Full disclosure. So I was surprised.
And again, they do a good job of telling us certain things, and then they don't do those things. So I kind of knew it wasn't going to be no moves. I wasn't excited, and then it's kind of crazy because for the last couple of years, remember, maybe about 5 years ago, we used to always say there's no really moves. Like, people don't trade people in the NFL.
Now they do.
Now they just got the memo. Like, they're like, yeah, let's make some moves. And so I looked at it, and when I saw the Jets moving everybody, and then what the Jets were getting for said picks, I just realized, oh, man, we got priced out of this market. Because if they people giving up ones, we ain't got no ones to give up like that. Like Jason said, we got to pre-qualify these some of the Browns. We ain't got no money, and we don't got no picks that they willing to give up. So after I saw what they was giving, I said, oh, these are 6-7. No, we not getting nobody. And there's no offensive line. If there was an offensive lineman able to be had at this point, he's not very good.
That's right.
No one's trading a good offensive lineman midseason. No one. Like, it doesn't happen. Jason,
Correct.
were you surprised that they made a move, but it was such a low-level move?
No, I can't say I was surprised. I would like to have seen if they could bring a receiver in. I think it's a little bit easier to get a receiver, but again, it's probably going to be a lower-level guy. As much as I love Garrett Wilson, and as much as I would love to see Garrett Wilson here, I don't think that move, sort of what Garrett was saying, with the prices they were getting and what you had to give up to get him, they're not in position right now to have a Mercedes price tag at receiver. Like we've talked before about, their cap sheet is sort of in disarray right now. So if they're giving guys away, it's sort of like what they've done in the past for Amari Cooper. If that move is out there, fine. But that move wasn't out there to make. You can only shop in the aisle where there's produce. And I just don't think that it aligned. There was a time where I thought maybe Njoku would be on the move. But as we talked in the weeks leading up to it, man, you got to give these guys something.
Yeah.
You got to give them something to throw to. How can you get any sort of read at all on what you have in the quarterback room? There's already hardly any targets out there to throw to. If you take away someone like a David Njoku, I just for what? If you're going to give Njoku in a 6th to San Francisco for a 5th, I'd rather keep David.
I'm with you, and I'm more surprised that they weren't slightly buyers than they actually turned out to be. And a guy like Rashid Shaheed, who ended up getting traded for a 3rd and a 4th, 4th and a 5th, depending on the qualifiers. I know he's not great. He's not a 1 by any means.
Yeah.
He's going to be the 3 in Seattle. But when you're trying to get an evaluation on these two quarterbacks, and mainly Dylan first and then Shador, to your point, Jason, you have to have something to evaluate them with.
Yeah.
And yes, Dylan Gabriel has not been good. So I have to preface, he has not been good. But the receivers aren't open and the line isn't blocking well. And I would like to see him maybe have a chance with a receiver that could create a little separation, who's not ranked 100th out of 100 in ESPN's receiver score, which is currently where Jerry Jeudy sits, by the way. Their number 1 receiver ranks dead last in ESPN's overall receiver score. Shaheed is in the 50th percentile. He's not great. He's not a game changer. He's not a 1 on a future team. But for a 3rd and 4th price tag, when the Browns have so many extra picks in this upcoming draft, and I know there's going to be a lot of roster turnover. They already have, 7 rookies on the roster. Like, they have a ton of rookies.
Oh, they got
was it 14?
14.
Yeah.
I think 7 are undrafted.
An absurd amount of rookies already. There's only so many guys you can bring back in and keep on a roster. I would have liked to see them be aggressive and not go for a Garrett Wilson. I'm not giving up any high draft capital.
Right.
But a guy like Shaheed, just somebody else to come in here so you have a better way to evaluate these two young quarterbacks.
I kind of compare it to this. Like, I don't know what the turmoil is, and I don't know what it is in the front office. But it's kind of like, man, I've been divorced before, and it's like there's a period right before you get divorced where it's like, hey, we're going to have to put a hold on all major decisions. Like, we was renovating something. I said, oh, no, y'all got to go. Y'all got to stop, put that hammer down. We listen, I appreciate y'all. What do I owe you? But we ain't doing no more. You kind of put a stop on we ain't buying no cars. We not opening no new credit cards.
Freeze your assets.
Freeze all assets because we got to figure out if these are going to get split. So it's kind of like with the Cleveland Browns. They're looking around and like, oh, okay, they done gave up the play calling. Cool. There you go. And that tells me that they doing everything possible to kind of give these dudes a look. Like, maybe if Kevin ain't working, let's just try something drastic. They change the play calling. Let's see what it is. But you're not going to be like, all right, well, let me go out and get Garrett Wilson. And Kevin going to be like, well, if I had Garrett Wilson, why would I turn play calling over? I feel like I could get something out of that. Like, nah, we're not about to do. We going to freeze the assets. We're going to figure out piece by piece what we got. We start with these two quarterbacks. And then in the offseason, free agency draft, we'll figure out what we need to go shopping for.
That's why I thought the mid-level guy was way more like the Garrett Wilson was never going to happen. The Brian Thomas Jr. rumors, like I didn't think that was realistic.
But also, and I don't know his contract situation. You're looking for guys who you control for the next couple of years. If there's a guy who's up at the end of the year, it's not going to do you any good.
And I'm not saying he was the exact. I'm just mentioning he's a guy that is a capable receiver that would instantly be an upgrade over everyone on the roster but Judy, and he didn't go for a first or second round pick.
And I think what they're doing, turning 7s into 6s, 6s into 5s, they're trying to accumulate as much draft capital as they can so they can move around the board on draft day. It's not that they're trying to take 3 players in the 5th round or however many 5th round picks they have now. If that's the last sweetener you need to move around, that's what they're trying to do. So you're not going to burn that now on a guy who you're going to lose at the end of the year, or maybe he only has one more year of control if you don't love him.
And look up Shaheed's contract. He wasn't the name. I'm more just curious.
Agent in 2026.
Say again?
Unrestricted free agent in 2026.
So they'd have him for 1 year.
One more year.
1 more year.
So I'm just using him as an example.
And what did he go for? How much?
It's a 3rd and 4th or a 4th and 5th, depending on his production.
See, and that's a lot for a guy because they're not going to be any good next year. They'll be better than this.
It just gives you a better evaluation.
I agree. I agree with that. But I think how long is Tyson Campbell under contract? They got like 3 years.
3 years with him, yeah.
So that I think is a lot more appealing to them when you've got multiple years. I'm with you, and I said last week, like, man, give them something. Give them something to throw to. If you can bring someone in, great. But I think you have to balance that with the long-term plan of what they're trying to accomplish here, and making sure that they have enough assets to move around the board at the draft.
I just say whenever Shador gets a chance to play. Like, I want to see him throw to real NFL receivers. Like, I just want to see what it looks like when he has a real stable, and it won't be a great stable, but like a real stable of weapons around him. I want to see the same thing with Dylan. And I thought they had an opportunity, and obviously the market dictates who's available, who's not. Like, there may not have been that guy out there. And like, use Shaheed as an example. He probably wasn't getting traded. He didn't want to go from the Saints to the Browns, right? Like, he ended up going to Seattle. But I just want to see that.
I hate using this excuse. Do you count? Because Browns be doing this all the time, and I'll be mad at it. Do you count the resurgence of Cedric Tillman coming back?
No.
For 6.
Thank you.
For 6 quarters. I mean, like, and I like said, like, when he's played, he's been relatively effective, but he hasn't proven he can stay on the field for more than 3 games in a row.
No.
So like, you can't count on it.
Yeah. That's not a move. You just. I'd be interested to see. Now, I know this ain't the topic, but I mean, I just really do want to see. I want to see if it looks different. We talked about some of your fence rider questions, a little foreshadowing. Is this thing going to look that specifically different? And how does it look? And also, man, after the Jets traded all them folks, I was like, this went from this is a game that we could win to you got to win this one, don't you?
That's exactly what our next topic is. So Ant, give us a read. Let's hop into it.
Yeah, guys, we don't have a read set up because I thought we were just going to go one long clip for this. But that's fine. That's on me. I have to promote likes and subscribes anyway. So, guys, if you could please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're getting real close to 75,000.
Yes.
Steve Becker is really excited, and we're all excited, and this whole team loves that you guys support us so much. So like and subscribe, and send in some super chats, and we'll read them at the end of the show.
All right, the Jets, as you mentioned, G, traded away 2 of their 3 best players yesterday. They got 3 first-round picks and some for Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner in comparison. this was a game that was a battle between two of the teams vying for the number 1 overall pick, two teams that clearly need a quarterback. The Browns, with their move yesterday, said, we like where we're at. The Jets said, let's blow it up, send this team to Mars, and rebuild with as much assets as humanly possible. I had it in a topic idea for Friday. Like, in a way, it's a must-win game for Kevin Stefanski. Like, you can't lose to a team that is now so actively out here showing their cards, saying, we don't really care about results right now.
This is an active tank. This is a tank happening in real time in front of everybody's face. You trade your best 2 defensive players, probably the best players on your squad.
2 of the 3 for sure.
2 of the 3. Garrett Wilson is in there,
yeah.
right? But Quentin Williams is a monster. I mean, Sauce Gardner, you know, say what you want about him having a down year last year, but I mean, he goes to Indianapolis, and the Colts have just signified that they believe that the AFC is open. They don't believe in a lot of people. They don't believe in you AFC North dudes. They said Burrow's out. The rest of y'all is the Kansas City Chiefs. Sorry, Darren. The Kansas City Chiefs, the shine is wearing off a little bit. But I'm looking at it like this. You got to win this game. Like, you kind of have to. And given the fact that you had 2 weeks to come off of it, now they did have the bye as well. It just boils down to this. You know, you got Justin Fields. He played a little better the last time we saw him. They got a big-time win. I want to see what it looks like when you trade those people in the middle of the week, how they go about digesting this. Because if they come out there and they're like, oh, we selling, you could make them quit early.
Yeah.
You could make them get off the sticks early. Like, yeah, let's just go ahead and pack this in.
As much as we laugh about Kevin Stefanski's success on opening drives, there may not be a more impactful opening touchdown he could score than against the Jets on Sunday, because that could just be the nail in the coffin 4 minutes into the game. They could say, you know what? The organization clearly is going in a different direction. Obviously, the players are playing for something for future contracts, but sometimes you know when you go into a matchup, Jason, that it's probably not going to fall in our favor. And if you could throw that first punch early, it could be a knockout blow.
Part of the reason teams buy at the deadline, not so much NFL, but baseball, and baseball is the biggest buyers for sellers, right, of all the sports. Yeah. But also in the NBA, you can see it occasionally. It's the lift that it brings to the clubhouse and the locker room that, hey, they believe in us. This team, the front office believes in this team, and they just gave us what we need to make a run. Well, the opposite of that can be true.
Yeah.
When you cut off the heartbeat of your defense, the rest of the guys looking around the locker room going, well, I guess that's it. I guess that's what they think of us. So I absolutely think it takes an emotional toll. I mean, these aren't just bit pieces that they sold off. These are franchise pillars.
2 best defensive players.
Yeah. So, which leads to a whole other, I'm kind of amused by this. To the question of, is it a must win? Man, you got 2 wins. Ain't no such thing as a must win. But is it a game they should win? Absolutely. Yes, 100%. This is a game because, it was funny. I was upstairs Monday night. Well, we did the point after with me and Mary Kay. Nick Camino do the point after every Monday night. And Nick's point was something like, hey, you got to win this game, right? Like, it's the Jets. And I said, Nick, there are 3 people in the studio right now at the NBC affiliate in New York going, you got to win this game, right? It's the Browns.
Right.
Well, the funny part about that now is these are 2 teams vying for the top draft pick, right? And these are 2 teams that both, the Jets for sure, Browns, I think we all feel that way, or at least they're playing their cards to make us assume that they're in the market for a quarterback next year. Jason, you've said it 100 times that that's kind of why they got those extra assets. In a way, winning this game puts you further away from the
and that's what's so goofy.
Yeah, for both teams.
And that's the larger point I was going to get to. I was watching some of the reaction to the Jets' moves yesterday, and sometimes, like, I'm a smart ass when I say stuff like this. This time, I'm genuinely asking. Like, the Jets, from what I saw, were applauded for the moves that they made and for the returns that they got. And I'm like, now, wait a minute.
Right.
How come they're applauded for it when the Browns have done the same thing and get crucified for it? Because the Browns have got to replenish their assets. I'm not advocating tanking. I'm not. Like, tanking sucks. But at the same time, you have to be realistic about where they're at, what assets they have, what assets they've lost over the last few years, what they lost in the Deshaun trade, and the holes on this roster. And you just have to remove the emotion and be realistic about there are a lot of holes on this team, and it's going to take time to fill all these holes. So the Jets, just traded their 2 best players, landed a ton of first-round picks for it, and everyone's like, well done. And the Browns get killed. I just can't I can't correlate that in my mind.
What was the Browns record? What was the Jets record last year? Offhand.
They weren't.
They were not good. They fired the coach.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I can look it up real quick.
So here's how it works. It's like the.
Who was the Jets' first round pick this year?
Who did?
Mahmoud with the 7th pick.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, what happens is, all right, it's the stages of grief. So the Jets, they signify. Usually, you signify you starting over when there's a change. The change is, all right, which coach got fired?
5-12 last year.
So they was 5-12. So after that, they fired the coach. So then that's the signifier. Okay, this didn't work. They moved on from Aaron Rodgers. That didn't work. So for the Browns, we ain't really moved on from nothing. The guy that did not work was Deshaun Watson. He's still on the roster. Yeah. The head coach is still on the team, right? They trade, they've done that. Most of the roster is still here. So it's kind of like the signifying blow to most people for fans is like, all right, when you start getting rid of people, then we start to be like, okay, well, we now can go through our stages of grief and understand that guess what? It didn't work. We're going to a new regime. Now, for us, we still got those people. And so now it's like, all right, well, if we want to trade these draft picks and we want to get these picks and replenish, the people is like, we do not trust the people who got these picks, who put the first roster together to then get some more picks to mess them up. So I think that's why people applaud. They're apprehensive.
That's fair. That's totally. See, to me, it's 2 different conversations. Who's in charge and who's making the picks, but you also have to put some groceries in the cabinet.
Yeah.
So if you question whether or not Andrew Berry's the right one to lead this, I think you have more than fair reason to doubt that. But the fact remains, you have to have vehicles to replenish the roster.
Yes.
And then you can have the debate on who do you want in charge of making that call. But the reality is they need multiple first-round picks. That's why I advocated trading Miles last summer because, you've seen it now with Micah. I don't know what Dallas is doing. But the first move of trading Micah, and now you've seen it with the Jets trading Quinnen Williams. Obviously, Myles Garrett's a better player than both Micah Parsons, in my opinion. He's better than both Quinnen Williams.
Yeah. He's the best defensive player in football.
Yes. But it's the same concept of this is a terrible team. We can't win as we're currently constructed. We have all these holes to fill, so we're going to trade this guy and recoup as much as we can to rebuild this thing. That's the only reason why I advocated. It wasn't that Miles wasn't a great player. Yeah. And trading him at this trade deadline was a non-starter because of the cap hit. The time to do it would have been
last summer.
Yeah. And they chose not to, and that's fine. The only point I was trying to make was his career trajectory and when they're going to be good, I don't know that they intersect.
Yeah. So do you think there was a group of people, because I don't know, they got all kind of advisors, all kind of different people that got some sort of input or say that are saying, hey, we're trying to do some other things. Obviously, we got the stadium thing we're trying to do. We kind of just went through a rebuild like a second ago. I don't think that trading our best player at this moment is a good look. Now, not that they care about the looks, but some of these other teams like the Jets, yes, the Jets have been bad. Yes, some of the other, but no one has been bad as the Browns. Do you think that the past history of the Browns plays a little bit into it?
I absolutely think Andrew Berry did not want on his resume Baker and Miles.
Yeah,
and Deshaun.
Deshaun's top, but Baker was number 1 overall pick.
To leave.
Gone.
Yeah, during his time.
Miles, number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
Gone. I don't think he wanted the blood on his hands for both of those moves.
And it's worth noting, New York has a new GM.
Yes.
And that is not the guy who drafted Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner.
Correct.
Joe Douglas did a really good job in his drafting. The rest of the roster organization, not nearly as good, but that's a new GM who did not draft the 2 players he traded
and it's the
for
Jets.
multiple assets.
It's the Jets. They'll probably screw up the picks.
Right.
Yeah.
I have no faith that the Jets are going to get it right. I have very little faith the Browns are going to get it right. But you have to put yourself in the game.
With the Jets, real quick, because I know we got Leroy. Going back to the whole conversation, you can have a great roster. If the quarterback isn't there, you don't really have a chance.
Yeah.
They drafted Quinnen Williams. He set the new defensive tackle record when he signed his contract extension. The next year, they drafted Sauce Gardner, who set the cornerback most guaranteed money for a cornerback when he signed his extension. In that same draft, they had Sauce Gardner drafted Jermaine Johnson, who's been one of their best pass rushers, and Breece Hall. They
That's
incredible.
The Jets should have been good, bro.
They drafted Garrett Wilson the next year.
They should
They were talking about being a playoff team with Aaron Rodgers.
The thing that held them back was with the second overall pick, they took Zach Wilson, who was a catastrophe, and then Aaron Rodgers blew out his Achilles.
Yeah.
And it goes back to you can have all the other pieces in place. If you don't have solid quarterback, you can win on exceptions, but you can't win consistently, and that's why this whole you get assets, you got to find the quarterback. You're not going to win in today's NFL if you don't have a guy you can trust week in and week out to go toe-to-toe with the Burrows, the Allens, the Mahomes, the Lamars in just the AFC.
So if the Browns win Sunday, it'll feel good. Everyone will celebrate. Hey, it's a win. Relieve some of the pressure if there is any on front office, coaching staff, all that. And yet, for the greater good, the Jets just won.
Yes.
Oh,
like, that's wild.
It's backwards.
Yeah, so it's a catch-22, right? There's a lot of storylines to look at.
Both teams want to tie.
For
being honest.
It's a lot to look at in this game. It's kind of like, man, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
But the saving grace on this is there is no Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning in this quarterback class.
No.
I've said all along, like, I think the Browns are going to draft quarterback. There is not one guy, Mendoza maybe, has emerged over the others, but he's not by any means.
Simpson are the two.
Yeah, he's not by. So I do think that there's going to be probably 4 or 5 guys to pick from, but there's not one guy that all of these teams are trying to race to the bottom to get.
It just seems like, I don't know why, he just reminds me of like Jared Goff.
Mendoza?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff.
Yeah, and I'm like, but yeah, Goff is good. You're like, Goff is, yeah. But then you're like, I mean, am I going to lose games? It's tough because this is going to be one of the off seasons. Good gracious, it don't never stop with us. Do it.
No.
We're in November talking about the offseason.
And we got Leroy, so last point. Let's say the Jets do have the first pick and the Browns get the second choice of quarterback.
Yeah.
The Jets have no track record of picking the right one.
Exactly.
So you actually may be taking off the pressure seat because the Jets are the ones that are going to mess up, and then the better one falls into your lap. And let's get Leroy in after a quick read.
Yeah, guys, nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards that you can actually use. When you pay rent with Built, you can earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels and airlines and future rent payments or your next Lyft ride and much more. But Built isn't just about rent, it's about rewarding you and around your entire neighborhood. Built makes every day and every life feel more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's joinbilt.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure to use the link so that they know we sent you.
And with that, we are thrilled to welcome Leroy Hoard to the show. Leroy, how you doing, my man?
What's happening?
Leroy, the
I'm
Browns.
all right. Just listening to a little bit of that conversation and just like, yeah, I would say in all of that, you can go to the starting point of all of this. You invested so much money in Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
That it hamstrung your ability to do anything. And then just imagine you investing that much money in a quarterback, and for the next 3 years, you got to go find a quarterback.
Yep.
You see, so if you start there, then all of the other things, because nobody else, even with what the Jets were doing, even with what everybody else is doing, nobody else has been hamstrung like this, because even if they went out and got a quarterback, it was a short-term thing. All right? They drafted a quarterback. It didn't work. They can move on and find another quarterback. Right? This has hamstrung the Browns to a point where if I just get a reasonable quarterback like a Kirk Cousins and spend $25-30 million, you now have $80 million on the quarterback position. Now, they patched it up for short-term stuff, but it's never been substantiated. It's never been a long-term thing. And that is the one move that kind of hamstrung. Let's not even talk about all the picks you lost.
Absolutely. And I'll go one further than that. I'll go one further than that. You know when the offense fell apart? When they fired Alex Van Pelt. Why'd they fire Alex Van Pelt? to give Deshaun the offensive coordinator and the offensive system that he wanted. And they have never recovered from firing AVP.
Right.
As silly as that sounds, that's when all of this started running downhill. And they lost Bill Callahan because they fired AVP.
That's what I was getting ready to say. When did the run game start struggling? When Bill Callahan went to go coach with his son.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? So there's other moves or other things that have happened to this team where it's not just as simple as comparing them with the Jets. Because the Jets situation was this. We invested a second-round pick. That's it. Right? We didn't put $230 million on it. Right? So after a couple of years, if you decide you don't want that quarterback, it costs you $20 million. Mm-hmm. Right? It don't cost you 50 or 150 or 130.
Yep.
Like it has the Browns because they gave it all guaranteed money.
It's crazy.
Now you got a quarterback that's not performing or not even playing, and you don't have any draft picks. So one of the two things have to work. Either you go through the pick process, and even if you draft wrong, you're going to accidentally get it right. I mean, say what you want about New England. They accidentally got it right with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of quarterbacks. When you look at Dak Prescott, wasn't he a third or fourth rounder?
Fourth rounder.
Yeah.
Fourth rounder. So while we sitting here talking about all the things that's going on, let's also be clear that it's not always a top 5 pick that ends up turning your team around. Like, we can go look through the history of football and look at most of the guys. A lot of these guys were drafted in the teens. You know, some of these guys, Dan Marino was drafted in the 20s, right? So we have a bunch of examples of where this thing has, just to have the picks and have the option to do that. And what you need to have is this: either the picks or the players you traded the picks for, but you can't not have both.
Right.
And that's what happened to the Browns.
Leroy, this is the first week that Tommy Rees will take over play calling duties for Kevin Stefanski. I'm curious, are you expecting the Browns offense to look significantly different, minorly different, relatively the same with the new play caller in charge?
It's one of those things, the streets need a body, right? Like the fans are so mad, something got to change. And so you say, I'm going to let somebody else call the plays. And last time I checked, you got the same damn players. You got the same quarterback. So what is going to be different, you know, from that standpoint? I would say this about the other issue that's been going on is the Shedeur Sanders thing. And let's see what he got. Coaches don't think like, let's see what he got, right? You can't operate like that. So I don't have a problem with that, but I would say this. Those guys are around him. And the excitement you felt in that one preseason game, you overlooked a few aspects of what he was doing, right? He never dropped back, planted his foot, and threw the football, which was one of the differences between him and Cam Ward, right? And being down here with Cam Ward, I saw that dude put his foot on the ground at 3 or 5 step drop, get rid of the ball, throw it with timing and accuracy. Mm-hmm. We never really saw that out of Shedeur, so that's a skill set that he has to pick up on, right? We watched him in that preseason game. It was a lot of scrambling, running around, throwing the ball on the run, making plays. As a quarterback, as a coach, watching that's not something you can rely on week to week. So those skills and that skill has to be developed. The other thing is you think Kevin Stefanski don't want to win? For people to think he got something against Shedeur, that man want to win. Yep. He trying to keep his job. They're all trying to win. And you got a responsibility to the other 52 men on that roster to play the guy that gives you the best chance to win. Because if you don't, then you lose the other 52. And that's kind of how that goes. So, whereas I want to see Shedeur develop, because I think the skills that we saw in his ability to make plays will be an advantage for him, but he has to start with the basics. What gets you on the field is being able to do the basic stuff. What keeps you on the field is your ability to make plays. But if you can't get through that first process, you're not going to get to use your skills on the second part of it.
Well, Leroy, I will say this. I've always said, I think there's, from the time we started talking about Shedeur Sanders or whatever the case may be, I've always made the point of Dillon Gabriel's skill set is what's going to keep him on the field. Dillon Gabriel has to go out and perform. So if Dillon is not performing, I can say Shedeur's not ready or whatever he's at, but Dillon Gabriel's performance and how he looks is going to be what the referendum is on. I got to look and see what Dillon is doing, how he's moving, how is he progressing, because I got to look at it in a vacuum and say if Dillon Gabriel is regressing, then as a coach, I have to at some point say, okay, well, this ain't gonna work. We got to see what we got.
Absolutely, but what part of that? See, you're evaluating his play. The coach is evaluating his play through the prism of the whole offense and what he should have been doing versus what he is doing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So is he throwing it to the right guy? Is he making the right reads? Is he, getting them in the right plays? Things like that. If all those things are good, then I can understand him sticking with him, even though the production doesn't look great. And so it's much deeper than, oh, look, the team's losing, the quarterback's not good, let's see what the other guy has. It's much deeper than that. And so from that standpoint, and I've been a part of that. All right. How many people, when Bill Belichick said he wanted to get rid of Bernie, how many people hated Bill Belichick?
Whew, I remember that.
You see what I'm saying? But here's the other thing. As much as the players love Bernie, right? And I was a ride or die Bernie guy. I'm not gonna lie. Y'all know my relationship with him. Right? How many players came out and said anything?
I don't believe any, but I was a kid.
Right. No, but that's that's kind of my point, is that if Shedeur was a better option, you would have gotten a hint of it from the guys who were on the field. You understand what I'm saying? In some kind of sly remark or comment or something along those lines. And you're just not getting it. So it's not that the players all agree with what Stefanski's doing, but they understand. And as long as he has that, then you keep moving forward. So I want Shedeur to develop and to be able to show the whole skill set of the position instead of just the making the play aspect, because we've all seen guys who can make plays and run around or whatever, but at some point you got to plant your foot in the ground and throw the ball in a timely manner.
How will that I don't see a path to that working here with him, because they're going to take another one next year. And that's the point I've sort of been making all year, is I don't know where the path lies for Shedeur, because everything you said is gospel to everything I've been told in the building. Everything.
Right, and that's without, and again, I'm making this based on what I know about football, not what I know about Shedeur.
Well, I can tell you from what I've been told from people in the building, it basically lines up exactly with what you're saying.
And I'm saying this without having any knowledge. So I know how this works. And so, it's one of the things that you have to do, right? If you have to be honest with the situation. That's all parties involved. Shedeur needs to be honest with what he needs to do to improve. The Browns need to be honest with how they approach Shedeur. The fans need to be honest with what they really think Shedeur is. Okay? What put him at a disadvantage right, was all the people projecting him to be drafted in a certain place, right? And so now
That set the expectation of where
right,
he should go.
exactly. So regardless of where he was drafted, and regardless of what everybody says, the question is, this man was supposed to be the next quarterback taken after Cam Ward, and they got something against him, and they try to find all these reasons why. I'm telling you why. Right? I'm telling you why. And when you watch those two quarterbacks play in college, and I watched them play, one looked like a quarterback that could go to the next level, and one looked like he could make a lot of plays, but the other stuff had to be developed.
So
now, I don't know.
Can you learn that as a quarterback? Like the stuff that
Absolutely.
you're talking, put a foot in the ground and throw. Because I get killed because I say all the time, guys, he's not ready. He's not ready. He's not. And everybody gets mad at me, and I get why they get mad at me. But
Right.
the stuff that he has to learn is not stuff that you learn between March and October. To me, like I don't think he's going to play at some point, and I don't think he's going to be ready when they put him out there. But they want to see what they've got in him, and they're going to take another quarterback. How long does it take to learn some of the stuff that we're talking about as a quarterback on a team that has a horrible history of developing
Right.
quarterbacks?
Here, and let me add one other thing to this. All right, Joe Flacco threw for 470 yards.
Yep.
Yep.
Look who he threw it to.
Yep.
Guys that get separation, guys that can go up and make plays, guys that on any other team would be number ones on 90% of the NFL rosters. Who's that guy for the Browns?
I mean,
So-
Jerry Jeudy would be probably at least the 3, if not the 4 receiver on the Bengals, and he's the number 1 here.
So there's a lot of things that play into this. There's a lot of stuff that plays into it, not just the quarterback making throws. Now, one of the things that Shador has to learn, right? Got to learn how to read defenses. Got to learn when defenses are fooling him. That's why you know what they say about young quarterbacks, you can trick them. You can line up in one coverage, run a different coverage, and you can get them. Right? Why? Repetition. You ain't used to seeing it. An old veteran to see you line up in the defense, look on the other side of the ball and say, there's no way in hell they're going to run that defense. I know what defense they running, and operate accordingly when the ball snaps.
But don't you have to do that by playing? Don't you have to
Yes and no. The film study, the other work that you do off the field gets you into that mind frame to look for those things, right? If they're not comfortable that he's able to do that, right? How you expect him to be able to do it in the game?
Well, here's what I'll say. I get it. Like the Browns, the thing that people have a problem with is you got a 2-16. You got a 2-16. You got a quarterback who's playing right now, who people don't believe is better than the guy who's sitting behind him. Now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because they drafted him in the 3rd round. They drafted him. That's their guy. They're going to give him every opportunity. But at some point, people are going to say, okay, listen, I get it. You're going to give him a runway to play. He played. He is not looking good. And at the same time, we got in the back of our mind that we already about to go get another quarterback. So at some point, you have to say, if you drafted the guy and you drafted 2 quarterbacks this year, the problem what we have is we took those quarterbacks. If they didn't like them, they drafted those quarterbacks. They could have took those pieces and got a lineman, got a receiver, the same stuff that we say we need. So if you going to take those pieces, that said that you kind of liked them and you wanted to see. The owner said, I want to see what he looks like. But one thing it's hard for me to think and envision is that if I see the quarterback that's playing right now, that's a lot of people didn't think was ready, that's making mistakes, I'm ready to see the other dude make the mistakes because at the end of the day, the Cleveland Browns need to get a lottery ticket. We just expressed it, right?
Yep.
Deshaun Watson costs a lot of money. Deshaun Watson costs you a lot of picks. If I got a guy that could be a lottery ticket, I'm going to just scratch the ticket and see. If you scratch it, he don't look good, then you can move on and find whatever quarterback you got in 27, 26, whatever the case is. That's the premise that I come at it with, because now I'm playing the patient game. But at some point, the patience wear out.
But isn't that giving you an indication of where he is?
I can't
because you can't look. I get everybody wants to see Shedeur. Based on what? What football coach makes this? Let's see what we got. Let's throw him out there and see what's the worst thing could happen.
Could it be you've seen enough of Dylan? I guess is that what you're trying to ask, G? Like,
yeah.
we've seen enough of one.
They might be having that conversation every day, and then having the conversation. What's our other option? And he goes, "That ain't it." There's a lot of people sitting in the room right now trying to determine that. So maybe it comes. And again, I'm not speaking from knowledge. I'm just speaking from just being around it long enough. Maybe it comes. Maybe he does something to warrant, okay, I'm at the same level as Dylan, but I can do things on the football field he can't. But he has to get to a certain level. Now, part of the problem with that is one of the reasons why he's behind is because I don't think people understand the difference between QB2 and QB3, right? QB2 is getting all the reps like he gonna play. QB3 running scout team. So you got to do a lot of that stuff on your own, your preparation, your, maybe making throws after practice, maybe go and look at some film and some game plan by yourself, because they're not including you in any of that stuff. You run a scout team. So there's that. But a lot of times coaches will do it to say, let's see how committed he is to this. Let's see if he's willing to put in that work. Let's see if he's willing to do, the work on his own. And then he'll show us something. There's a lot that goes into that. It's not just a matter of, like, as far as right now, I get what people are saying, right? But you're only looking at it from one aspect of the quarterback position, right? If I go out there and all the guys on the field have seen Shedeur practice, right? And they know what he's putting into it and what he looks like in practice. And the coach still throws him in the game and he's terrible. And the players knew it because they've been seeing him work or whatever. And I'm, like I said, I don't know what he's doing to get himself ready, right? But what are you saying to the other players? And I get, but you still have a responsibility to all the players. So whatever you think the situation is, whatever you believe to be that situation on the outside looking in, those guys in the locker room know. And they understand that, man, we got it tough right here at that position or whatever. So I don't know what the solution is. I know that Kevin Stefanski has a responsibility to everybody in that locker room. You can't just be winging it, right? Even if you're making wrong decisions, you can't look like you're just winging it. And that loses the locker room even quicker. So I don't know if he already has lost it. I'm more than sure if it was like you guys say it is, somebody in the locker room would have said something. That's just how this works. And the reason why I know that is because Tony Jones said it about me.
Explain.
He needs to get more carries.
See, so here's the thing, is because I'm in the locker room quite a bit, and so this is the part that I struggle sometimes to properly explain. You got a player standing at the podium. He's got all these microphones around him. He's asked about Shedeur.
Right.
What's he supposed to say?
No, I know. I get that. But
so a lot of times they'll say the right thing, but then when you're talking to them at their locker,
yeah,
you get the.
So, but again, you find out You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's for public consumption all the time.
Right.
But I'm saying you go in there, you've been in the locker room, you hear guys talking, right? So you kind of have a better feel than everybody else.
Yes.
And you express that. And like, I know, I can tell just by how they've set this up and how they've treated the two quarterbacks. I can pretty much give you an idea of what's going on. I don't need to be there. But somebody would have heard or said sources. You know that term, sources?
Oh, yeah. We all know.
Sources have not said Shedeur should be playing.
It's true.
Right.
I will say there are people that when they talk and say Shedeur not ready to play, there are people in the locker room that say Shedeur is ready to play and they are excited to see him play.
No, they may say they're excited to see what he has. Well, they ain't saying he's ready.
Here's the thing. I know that we can say what Shedeur isn't. The reality of the situation is it goes both ways. You can lose the locker room by continuing to run a person out there that is not proving that he's good. And
right.
and the play on the field, and we go back and watch Dillon Gabriel. I have a hard time saying what it looks like when he's throwing the ball in the corner of the end zone for a safety and don't know where the receiver is. He's making turnover-worthy throws. So I get the fact. I think that there's two different conversations. Is Shedeur ready? And what is Dillon Gabriel doing? You can have the conversation about what Shedeur is and what he ain't. But the thing that I have to say is we also have to evaluate what's going on right in front of us. Because sometimes we don't go into depth about what is Dillon Gabriel bringing to the table. Not the antithesis of Shedeur. What are we talking and what are we seeing with here? Because the team also sees Dillon Gabriel, who's been getting reps since the beginning of practice, beginning of camp. They see that they moved on from Joe Flacco, who's throwing 450 yards. They see they moved on from Kenny Pickett. So if the Browns can say, okay, well, this isn't about Shedeur, but the thing is, we have to also evaluate the starting quarterback and his evaluation, and if he gives you the best opportunity to win football games. And at some point, if he continues to struggle, they're going to have to make a move and do certain things. So that's the only thing I'm saying.
Here's what I would say to that, right? What if that's your best option?
You're screwed.
Then Kevin Stefanski chose the wrong person in the third round.
And guess what? Like, that is the deeper issue, is that you can complain about who's playing and who's not. But the bigger issue is if that's your best option, you're in trouble. Okay? Because guess what? If we would have had it the way we should have it, those guys both would have been developed. And Deshaun Watson would be playing.
Well, I would even go a step further. I know we got to go. This is really good, though. Because the point I've been making the last couple of weeks is, how did we get here? They had two veterans. They had two veterans.
Yep.
Yeah.
The plan was two veterans, draft Dillon in the third round. Dillon was never supposed to play this year.
Correct.
And now he's your starting quarterback. And now Shedeur, like, how did we get here? They had two veterans. They gave them all the reps.
Keep in mind, and here's the part that really hurts, okay? You have a quarterback that went to a team on Tuesday and threw for 300 on Sunday.
Yep.
Right?
That's the Browns' fault.
So, but it's not their fault for getting rid of Joe Flacco. It's their fault for not having any weapons for Joe Flacco to throw to. Because Joe Flacco went somewhere. Joe Flacco went somewhere that had some weapons outside, and all of a sudden, everybody talking about he hit the fountain of youth. No, he didn't. He's still Joe Flacco, but he got guys open, right? So, like, it's. If I had to say what caused all this, your inability to draft. Because the investment you made and the picks you gave up for Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. And you're paying for it. And it's a cautionary tale to anybody who trades for not only a player, but a player you know that ain't going to play for the first 10 games. Like you knew he was going to get suspended, right? Everybody knew he was going to get suspended. And I never thought the Browns rebounded from not having him that first year. Forget all the other years and injuries or whatever. The first 10 games or 11 weeks that he missed the very first year he got there set this team back.
And to that, they thought it was going to be 4 to 6 games, and then the NFL played the Uno reverse and said, never mind, there's too much public pressure and scrutiny. We're doubling it.
Exactly. And they don't have an out. They think about this. As great as a quarterback you have in the league, right? All these teams give these multi-million-dollar contracts with an out after a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You either renegotiate, even with Patrick Mahomes, everybody has an out after a couple of years. The Browns signed a contract where there's no way out of this until that contract is done.
Yep.
Leroy, we started with Deshaun. We wrapped Deshaun. That's the most full circle conversation we've ever had with him, in all honesty. So we appreciate you, Leroy.
That's
we'll
good
talk
stuff.
to you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
All right, man. See you.
Appreciate you.
Awesome. That was
All right.
Leroy Horde. And we got to talk a little hoops, but first to read.
Yeah, guys, before we get to basketball, I want to remind everybody that with the Browns being back this Sunday, so is the Browns postgame show. We start at the 2-minute warning every week. We're going to break down the entire game, live reactions from G, Earl, and Mike. Be sure to tune in, 2-minute warning.
Awesome, guys. Let's talk a little Cleveland Cavaliers basketball because if the reports are true, Darius Garland is set to make his return to the lineup today. He went through a full practice yesterday. Still technically listed as questionable game time decision, but all reports do indicate there is a very high likelihood of Darius Garland playing against the Philadelphia 76ers. Ironically, Joel Embiid will not be in the lineup. He played in last night's back-to-back, so no Embiid. This is what Shams tweeted yesterday about Darius's potential return. He is upgraded on the injury report, set to return. It could happen as soon as tonight, which was tweet account that came out yesterday. So, Jason, if Darius Garland returns for the Cavs, how much of an impact will that immediately have on the offense?
I mean, he'll be on a minutes restriction. It'll be a lift for sure. Like it'll be a big. You and I were talking about it at the game the other night. Just their inability to really get to the basket right now. Donovan's on one leg, and they, last year, part of Kenny's system, they were so good at the drive, kick, swing, and it's hard to kick and swing if you don't have a drive. Mm-hmm. And right now they're lacking drivers. So just the emotional lift, we talked about it with the trade stuff with the Jets, and the emotional lift or deflation from either getting a guy back or losing a guy, just getting him back on the floor, I think will be a lift to this team. And then obviously whatever he does on top of it is gravy. It's November, man. I don't care about what his numbers look like tonight or what kind of shape he's in. He'll have plenty of time to play back into something. But just being able to sort of settle back into, obviously you're still without Strus for quite a while yet, but getting one key piece back, you've gotten a look now without Darius at some different combinations. Now you can put him back out there and sort of get into the offensive flow that you are expecting to be able to have this year.
What do you think, G?
Man, I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like, man. It's kind of funny that we say this because we talked about the whole Evan Mobley type thing. And, I wanted to see what Evan Mobley's aggression level was when Darius Garland was out. There were some things that we saw where we kind of didn't like where he was taking the shots. Well, now Darius Garland is back. And, Jason has always said that, Mobley has to be the best player on this team for them to get to where they want to go. But, a big part of who they are, and a big part of some of the easier baskets that they get is because Darius Garland is creating off the dribble. He's lobbing the ball. He's getting to the basket. He's collapsing the defense. And so what you'll start to see, I think, is a lot more easier shots for other guys. You don't have to see guys that are dribbling as much, creating as much on their own, taking contested shots. So it's a welcome sight. I thought the Cavs didn't look. They didn't have the same feel offensively. They didn't have some of the same ball movement.
Clumsy.
Yeah, it's real.
It's
real clunky. It's you could watch the Atlanta game and it was just like they were struggling to figure out where they were with possessions at the end of the game and who was supposed to have the ball. Last year, you go back and look at it. At the end of the game, you kind of knew what it was. Like, guys were in the right spots. They knew where they would get their spots, their shots at. So I think Darius coming back will be a shot in the arm. And, Who knows? At one point in time, Darius Garland is kind of to me, the poor man's Kyrie Irving story. At one point in time, Darius Garland was the face.
Supposed to be the face.
He's the face of the organization. He was the guy who was the dude, right? And then you kind of bring in Donovan, who's the alpha dog, and Evan Mobley's ascension to being what he is. It's kind of like he's a forgotten dude, but he can play ball. Offensively, he's one of the most gifted guys with the basketball. He got it on the string. He shoots a high percentage from the three-point, shoots well from the floor. The only thing that was messing with him is the injury. So I want to see how it looks, how it works, and where it goes with Lonzo Ball, too, in terms of some of the lineups.
They haven't had a real point guard this year, other than when Lonzo plays, but they've started, at least to start the year, Don and Sam Merrill as their backcourt. Like, those are two off-ball guards, primarily more than traditional point guards. So getting Darius back, their best passer, certainly helps. When you look at the numbers over the last couple of years, like, Darius isn't their best offensive player. He's not their best scorer. But his impact on the overall offensive metrics are better than anyone else. This is from the 2022-23 season, 23-24, and then last year, 24-25. So the last 3 full regular seasons. On the top, those are the numbers when Darius is on the court. On the bottom, those are the numbers when Darius is off the court. When Darius is on over a 3-season sample size, so not small, big sample size, they have an offensive rating of 120. When he's off, it's 114.8. That's a drastic difference. That's like top 2 or 3 in the league versus middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Rest of the numbers slightly up, better true shooting percentage. That helps when you have a really good shooter, and the rebounding numbers are even better. And when you look at last year in particular, where they set that historic offensive rating number, look at the difference when Darius was on and off the court in that, Jason. 123.2 when he's on, 114 when he's off. 123.2 would have been number 1 in the NBA, better than the Cavs' record-setting offensive rating. 114.8 would have ranked 14th. The field goal percentage, more efficient. They're a better three-point shooting team. That assist percentage, the number of field goals that are assisted upon, 65.2% to just shy of 60%, and the net rating of 9.9. What Darius does is unlock everyone else. To your point, Jason, they're almost last in the league in drives per game.
Yep.
They're almost last in the league right now in points in the paint per game. They're almost last in the league in field goal attempts at the rim per game. And why? Because they don't have guys right now that are driving to the rim and forcing the defense to collapse, especially with Don on one leg.
Yeah.
And he can say the hamstring's not a big deal. Don's played like Sam Merrill the last couple of games, and he's been incredible shooting, and I say that as a compliment to both Donovan that he could be efficient in that role, and to Sam Merrill that I can now compare Donovan to Sam Merrill and not make it sound like an insult. But he's not getting to the paint like he was, and
right.
I think he'll get back to doing that as he gets healthier. But having Darius back to drive, kick, and force the defense to collapse is going to make everyone else kind of fall into their natural place.
Cavs were, I think, second behind only Boston in shots at the rim, or shots within 5 feet after the game Sunday night. I don't know what the updated numbers are now, and they were middle of the pack last year. So that tells you, just that alone, they're not getting looks at the rim, and that's what one of Kenny's point of emphasis.
You mean they're in three-point attempts, not shots at the rim?
No, I mean shots within 5 feet. Shots within 5 feet of the basket, they were second from the bottom.
Oh, okay. You said second. I thought you meant second most.
Sorry.
Second
No,
from
no,
the bottom.
no.
Okay.
Second from the bottom.
Yes.
Boston, which I was surprised Boston had the least amount of shots.
Well, they
at
shoot
the
the
rim.
most threes.
Yeah, they do. I still felt, and last year they were around there too. So, but the Cavs were middle of the pack last year in shots within 5 feet, and as of the other night, they were second behind only Boston. So that really, I think, paints the picture of what Kenny's talking about. We got to get to the rim more. We can't be shooting 57 threes a night.
No, you shoot 57 threes. You're going to have the random night where you happen to make 25 of them, and it's going to be tough to beat. But just the Cavs aren't shooting that high of a percentage to be chucking up and jacking as many shots from beyond the arc. And Darius is also like a stabilizer, right?
Yeah.
Like his shiftiness, his ability to work the pick and roll, which is going to help a Jared Allen and an Evan Mobley. The one thing I think I overlooked with the Lonzo acquisition, Lonzo doesn't run pick and rolls. Seriously, he's like in the bottom of all point guards in terms of pick and rolls per 100 possessions. That's not his game. Where does Jared Allen get most of his offensive opportunities?
Pick and rolls.
Where is Evan Mobley? I know not this year, but traditionally speaking, where has Evan Mobley been really efficient?
Pick and roll.
In pick and rolls. Darius is their best pick and roll offensive player. Him and Donovan attack him in different unique ways. Donovan's incredible at it as well, but Darius in the more traditional read the defense. If they come at you, he's going to hit the pocket pass to Evan on the slip, to Jared on the slip. I just think him being back and as a stabilizing force for everyone else allows the role guys to kind of fall into their more natural position. And sometimes players don't get worse. They're just asked to do things they're not capable of doing. And with Darius, they're going back to doing what they're actually capable of executing on a night-to-night basis.
You know what I thought about? I thought about this when I was watching. I was watching some games the other night, and I saw Murray for what's the name for the Nuggets.
Jamal.
Oh,
Jamal Murray.
Yeah, okay.
And Jamal Murray wasn't like that Nuggets team. I kind of sort of look like the Cavs, but they don't got nobody as good as Jokic.
No.
But they when they won the title, they had Porter. They had Jokic. What's the other the small guard that they just went back?
Bruce Brown. Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, they had these role dudes, and these role dudes played out of their mind.
Murray was phenomenal.
Murray, like, he was just like, I'm like, Murray is playing, playoff Murray is playing like he's a superstar.
Yep.
And I thought about it. I said, if I can't get what I want, if I can't get what I need from Mobley, because he's like Gohan in Dragon Ball Z. He like Gohan. Gohan.
I get that one. By the way.
Because Gohan should be the most powerful, bro. You got to wait till everybody die for him to get mad and go beast mode. And you're like, come on, bro. We ain't waiting for you. Frieza's killing everybody. Cell's killing everybody. We need you to step up. But when you got somebody like, when you got Garland can mess around and just like give you 50. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if he can give me like that spark.
He scored 50 before.
Like if I can get him to be like, is there another level for Garland? Is there an untapped level? Because at this point, we kind of know what he is. Do you think he is all he is ever going to be, or does he have that one little level where we can get a Kyrie Irving performance? Like the 16 Kyrie Irving was at that point, if you looked at the score, he was one of the best dudes on the court. Okay. And that was Steph, that was Clay, that was LeBron.
Kyrie was an assassin.
He was an assassin. He went crazy. Yeah. Can we get something like that from a Darius Garland to say we don't got to have Mobley consistently do it on that high of a level to win a championship?
I think Darius is what he is. I don't think that there's the Kyrie in him. But what Darius is an excellent offensive player. Mm-hmm. And this is becoming a league that is moving away from smaller guards. Mm-hmm. So he has got to be unbelievably effective on the offensive end because, Kevin Durant called him out by name over the summer.
Yeah, that was wild. He said,
as the league moving away from guys.
He was like, look, Darius Garland, he's nice. He's one of the greatest to do it. But, we about to find him.
To unlock that next level, a lot of it has to come on the defensive end. Steve, we pull up Darius' season stats last year for me real quick. From an offensive standpoint, as a guy who doesn't have the ball nearly as much as the other elite creators in the NBA, because he splits it with Donovan and they run such a open style of offense to where you get different guys creating. Steve, the Darius Garland stats, please, when you get a sec. I know I can't produce them out here like I'm sitting back there. I don't know what number Darius Garland's season stats is, but I know it's in there because we took it 3 times already. He scored 21 points. Was almost in the 50-40-90 club, led the team in assists. From an offensive standpoint, I'm not sure how much more you're going to get from Darius with his usage being around what it is. I realistically, maybe 42% from 3 and 50, but that's 21, 22 points. I think his biggest area of improvement would come on the defensive end to where he's not getting singled out and picked on in a playoff scenario. And that way, when you look at Darius does all this well, but sometimes when he's getting picked on defensively, you got to notch it down 2-3 notches because he may score 20, he gave up 18. That's a +2.
Yeah.
Then his value feels significantly more because it's not, we need Darius for offense, but we got to figure out how to hide him defensively.
The reason I'm asking that is because I found myself, as I see what Mobley has done the first few games, and I'm looking at his skill set, you have to trust. I trust Garland's offensive game over Mobley's game by tenfold almost. I know what Darius Garland can do offensively. Evan Mobley, I know where he's working and he's made some strides. But if I need to consistently say I need this 22, I think I could get to 22 from Darius Garland, and I would have to increase his usage.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can count on that level of production to say, okay, well, we're going to move. I would have to think, Darius Garland, you have to be more aggressive because there's going to be games where Evan Mobley, if he doesn't start off on the right foot, it's going to be one of them work in progresses where they got to start to sense, him and Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt going to have to sense what it is exactly what they're giving us at this moment, and then ratchet it up their aggressive level based on what they see Mobley's giving them.
As you're talking about that, I just thought of another way Darius could be. It may not translate to stats, but another way Darius can become an even more efficient, impactful offensive player. The Cavs used him more last year than they have in the past in off-ball opportunities, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Using Donovan as the primary playmaker. Kenny wanted Darius to shoot more threes. I think he shot 9 threes a game last year. Kenny kept saying we need to get double digits. We'll settle at 9. If Darius can become a gravitational pull when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, not in, hey, he's spaced up in the corner, but we're going to run him off pin downs. We're going to run him off floppy sets to make sure he gets the ball on one side of the court. And while that's happening and Darius is going this way, Don, you're going to get an isolation on this side of the court. But the defense is going to have to respect Darius because of the way he's shooting threes, because of the efficiency he has from beyond the arc. I know it's tough for a smaller guard to kind of do that and then still withstand and sustain his ability to create off the dribble and then battle defensively when he's constantly getting put in the post against bigger guys. But I do think if he can improve on that specific aspect, and I know you've talked about it at length, the Cavs believe he can play off ball.
Oh, yeah.
Like Kobe Altman said it out to you and to everybody, like, we got Donovan because we thought Darius and Donovan can complement each other and they can play off each other. We saw it more last year than we had in the first year with Donovan, and I hope they can kind of add to that level of creativity and using him off ball this year.
Well, I'm excited to see him play. I'm excited to see it. What it's taught me is if they're gonna win a championship, they're gonna need
everybody,
all them pieces.
Everybody.
They're gonna need. They're not a team where I can look at them. And the thing that I get when you watch Oklahoma City, by the way,
they look so good. They look so
them
good.
Doggone Spurs, bro. I mean, the Spurs look like
Wemby. Hey,
the Spurs look like they're ahead of the curve right now.
You talk about people taking the jump. There are tangible jumps, and then there are not linear jumps. Wemby, who was already 7'17", was dropped out of a spaceship, landed on a trampoline, and has bounced 13 steps up to where I think, Jason, I think he's the 4th best player in basketball right now. I thought he was top 10 entering the season. I think he's jumped everyone who's not top 4.
I thought he was crazy, but when you can walk around and wake up and get 7 blocks.
Yeah.
When you get 7, I mean, he's doing ridiculous, like,
he has more blocks than like 18 teams in the league.
Nasty little Euro step dunks where he don't have to stand. Like, he's dribbling court. See, this is the problem. Sometimes you're born in the wrong generation. I think Evan Mobley, he was born right with your doppelganger. Like, you are like you're Bizarro Superman. You're a lesser version of what.
Hold on. You're right. I'm not disagreeing.
I mean, Bizarro is strong. He's Black
They were
Adam.
looked at as very different level. Like Wemby was a can't miss, surefire, bona fide,
generational player.
Generational.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 7 teams in the league tank to try and get the opportunity to draft Wemby. Mobley was a 3rd pick in his own draft.
Yeah.
Now he should have been the 2nd. He should have gone over Jalen Green. But like generational, once in a lifetime. Not even the number 1 pick. Like they did come in with different levels of height.
I mean, hey, listen, you get born in the wrong. Listen, hey, Clyde Drexler was pretty dope.
Yeah,
he just happened to grow up with Michael Jordan.
Speaking of draft picks, though, Jaylen Tyson's been awesome for the Cavs this year.
I like him.
Been awesome.
I like him.
I got a chance to sit down with Jaylen yesterday. The full interview is on our YouTube page, but here's a little snippet if you guys want to check out the full interview I did with Jaylen Tyson. It's about 10 minutes, but this is a little snippet, and I highly recommend. Steve, let's hear from Jaylen Tyson. 3-and-D is 2 parts, the 3, and then playing defense. You kind of have embodied this new Cavs defensive philosophy, picking up full court. You told my guy Ethan that you didn't really like playing defense, but you're starting to enjoy it more now. What about playing defense are you kind of finding enjoyment in?
Being able to piss off the best players. If I can do that, that gives us an edge, right? If I can frustrate them, I mean, yeah, I'm going to have a couple fouls this year. That's just what they expect of me, right? They want me to be that kind of like pest defender, the dude that nobody wants to play against, right? So that's the joy that I get, like giving me the assignment of who have we played so far? Let's see, Toronto. You got Quickly and RJ Barrett, right? Who else did we play? New York, even Jalen Brunson, like stuff like that. That gets me excited, right? Because me personally, I feel like I could change the game without even scoring points on the defensive end.
So yeah, the full interview with Jaylen Tyson is on our YouTube page. We talked about making a sophomore jump, improving his jump shot mechanics. His nickname, Hacky Chan, by the way, which he is fully embracing.
That's hilarious.
That's crazy.
He gave me a great answer on the Hacky Chan origins
gosh.
and how it's sticking around. He's 4th in the league in personal fouls, and he's all in on that. And also gaining Donovan Mitchell's trust and what that means to him. So the full interview's on our YouTube page. You can check that out whenever you want.
Wild.
All right, guys, we're going to bring in our guest here after a quick word from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL season's here. The NBA season's here. Hockey's here. And right now, new customers can bet just $5 and win $300 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started. That is FanDuel.com/UCSS to get in on the action on America's #1 sportsbook. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome in Coach Spencer to the show. Kevin Spencer, former coach for the Cleveland Browns, coach in the NFL for over a decade, and he's here to join us to talk a little Browns chaos today. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and I think it's closer to 3 decades.
Yeah.
3 decades.
Yeah.
Well, more than a
Well,
decade
look,
is
see,
3 decades.
that gives it right
Put
there.
some respect on them years.
I did see the 2002 Special
It
Teams
used
Coach
to
of
like
the Year.
Jason's
so.
hair back in the day, but that's what it looks like now. 3 decades.
So,
That's
Coach,
why we're at.
what do you make of the whole Brown situation right now? They changed play callers. Obviously, the success in terms of wins hasn't been there, but you still believe in it,
I don't know.
Coach
Where do you
Stefanski?
want me to begin? It's
Anywhere you want.
It's amazing that I guess a fan from afar, because I started my career here in '91 with Coach Belichick. So you always kept track of the Browns, and then you're in your career and you always stay in touch with your family and friends, and you come back and you want to be a Browns fan, and it's just dysfunctional at best. I guess is the best way to describe it. And I guess I've learned anything in the business is that you really don't know what's truly going on unless you're inside. Mm-hmm. So it's awful tough to make comments on things, but there's a lot of things that just don't seem to jive. So I'm just hoping that we have a 9-game schedule left, and I hope that we can do some positive things to finish out this season. Because of a long-winded answer, I apologize. No. The guys you worry about the most are the guys in the locker room. The Joe Paternos of the world, that are warriors, and you want them to step on the field knowing they got a chance to win a game, and we're not playing this thing out just to play it out. So I hope it gets better.
How does it affect guys in the locker room? Obviously, a lot of people can see it from afar, but you've been in those locker rooms, and when you putting in that much work, I mean, you putting in, the coaches are there, they're burning the midnight oil. You're there early, you're leaving late, you don't see your family, and you don't get the payoff of the win. How does that affect you in your psyche? I
think coaches just coach. I think that's what you do. That's what you sign up for. I think the toughest thing is for the players, because they got to play the 60-minute battle when they're out there, and they're putting their, I don't want to say they're putting their lives on the line, but they're putting their well-being on the line. And you don't want to have them be put in that position unless you're really out there to win a football game and bust your fan and get after it. So those are the guys you worry the most about, I think. Coaches just, that's your job, that's what you're paid to do, and I think everybody's got, it's not really a job, it's a passion, and so therefore that's the way you approach it that way.
You've worked for so many different teams, so many different regimes, ownership groups. Can you explain good culture versus bad culture? What makes a good culture and ownership's role in setting a culture? Yeah,
I was just we celebrated the 20th anniversary of our Super Bowl team in Pittsburgh this past weekend. And it didn't take me much to figure out why we were so darn good. And there was about, between 30 and 40 players from that roster, most of the coaches. Mr. Rooney was there. And it's pretty obvious that it's like we never left. There's a genuine love amongst the players. We had great locker room leadership. And it wasn't like Jerome Bettis or Ben Roethlisberger. It's guys that people don't know that are the glue that held the locker room together. You could just tell the coaches, it's like you never missed a beat. So it's just something that's there. And I really do think it starts at the top. You look at the Rooney family and the Steelers. They've had one ownership group. They've had 3 head coaches. They probably had at best maybe 2 general managers. So there was continuity there. There's a philosophy there, and that's what they adhere to, and they don't get off that plan very often because it's been one of success. So it was like, holy smokes! It's just, you walked away from it saying, man, we were the most blessed human beings in the world to be part of all that.
I've talked to people at the Browns who say, why is it the Steelers and the Ravens draft the same players every year? They find the guys in the draft that fit their system, and it just Cam Hayward, maybe Jack Sawyer is going to fall into that eventually, but they just they draft the same dudes over and over. It sounds so simple. Why can't the other teams figure that out?
I guess it's, I can remember when we first started with Coach Belichick, he brought in all the scouts and he made them go through as if they were coaches, because he wanted a scout to know, we wanted this in a 3 technique. This is what we needed in a receiver. This is what we needed in an outside backer. So when the guys went out on the road, they knew that was the specific that they were looking for to fill the bill. I guess it is a square peg in a square hole, and that's the way it starts. And you have those freakish athletes that come through and they, we're going to take this guy no matter what. So I think it starts, with the head coach, and at least Bill telling everybody, this is what we're looking for in a player. I mean, Kevin Colbert was like that at the Steelers, that very specific in what they're looking for in players, and I think the character of the players and where they're coming from. I just heard a radio thing today from the Pittsburgh station. They think Sawyer might be the steal of the draft. And who would have ever thunk that, that this kid, would turn out to be that guy? But I guess it's the tangibles you're looking for and the intangibles, and probably the intangibles might be the most important.
When you look at a head coach, and obviously you worked for close to 3 decades, as we now established, for a bunch of different ones, what are the traits that you think are most common among the successful head coaches in the league?
Well, I think it's obviously you have to be proficient in coaching, whether you're an offensive guy, a defensive guy, but I really think it's about establishing relationships. I think there has to be, my way or the highway mentality with some flexibility in there. I think Coach Cowher probably would have been classified as a player's coach, but he also could pull somebody. It was Hines, Ward, or Ben, or even Jerome. We probably didn't have to do that Jerome very much, but you cross the line and there's going to be a price to pay for it. So I think it's establishing discipline, a consistency. I think treating men like men. Yes, sometimes we forget that players they're not supermen. They have wives, they have children, they have these problems and that problems. And I think you have to always remember that they're guys. And if you treat men like men and respect the man, then I think you're going to get, even in the NFL, you're going to get a heck of a lot more out of a player because they know they care about you. So I think there is that affection, respect, and also leadership. The guys they're going to know that this is what he's all about.
How do you feel analytics played a role in some of the things you did in the past, and do you think it's evolved and changed, or just say the word analytics and let me hear what
I'm not sure that back in the day we could spell that word. I think you always had that deal, I know Coach Belichick was big on that. He used the word quattro, and he was telling Josh, you got 4 downs, and he let him know on second down that you're going to have. Now, where Bill got that from, I don't know, but I think it was the communication aspect. So I think when we first started out, I don't think analytics, other than probably being smart in situational football, obviously the clock, your timeouts. I think you always had. Russ Grimm was probably the best guy that Coach Cowher had, because he, here's this big rough and gruff, hog from the Washington days, but he was our analytics guy relative to game management. And so I think there were scenarios where Coach Cowher would get caught up in a game, and Russ would say, hey, Coach, this is, think about this, think about that. So that's the most I can remember about analytics, was just managing the clock, managing the timeouts, managing situational football, but not to the extent that you hear about nowadays, where you have a guy on the sideline with a 3-ring binder, and he's right next to the head coach, and this is collegiate level and professional level, and he's thumbing through the book, and I'm not to say that there isn't a value in that, but I still think, football guys have to be football guys, and sometimes you make decisions based upon the heart and not so much the head, and knowing your team and knowing what your team can do best. So I probably wouldn't be the best person to ask about it, because it just wasn't. You practice hard, play hard, and then good things are going to happen.
What's your best Belichick story?
Oh, good Lord. All right, this is a great story, I guess. Bill, back in the day, used to wear the rubber suits. And they used to call him, it looked like, a glad bag or something. And he, as you well know, he would cut up everything. So one time we were out of practice, and this is back when practice was practice and there was no limitations placed on practice. It was 2 days. Real 2 days. And he had on a long sleeve rubber top, and a short sleeve over it. So it's so you're thinking, okay, what? And I even looked at him and said, what in the world, Bill? You look like heck. And one of the reporters came up to him in a post-practice deal and said, Coach Belichick, we got to ask, what was that all about? He says, well, you know what? Today was a full pad day, and it's 90 degrees, 90% humidity. And he said, I wanted to feel how hot the players felt.
Wow.
Because he knew that if he was starting to feel a little woozy, then he would back off. And I think probably the great thing that he did coming out of the Parcells mentality was he learned how to adapt practices, adjust practices, maybe not so much in the Cleveland days, but certainly in the New England days. So that's the best story, where he had a reason for everything he did. He didn't go off half-cocked and do something preposterous to make, hey, look at me type of thing. That was a definitive purpose, that he wanted to know how the guys felt, because the guys have to practice, and they're practicing in that stuff.
I've always wondered this from a special teams coaching standpoint. We react every Monday to the game, and if Andre Schmidt misses a kick like he did against Cincinnati, that could have won the game. We come in and it's Bubba Vendrone's fault. You got to fire the special teams coordinator. You obviously coach special teams at the highest of levels. You won the 2002 Special Teams Coach of the Year award. What do you do with the kicker on a day-to-day basis, or do they have their own routines and you're just kind of guiding them? I'm just always curious how
they have their own
routine,
and especially nowadays, a lot of these kids have been doing this since they were little guys. They might have started out as a soccer guy, and they had not only their high school coach, but they had a kicking coach. So they generally know the specifics of how to, kick a football. And I think when they miss, they know. And so to go up and get after him and call him names and make fun of his mother, I mean, that's not gonna make him a better kicker. They would know. And so you'd say stupid stuff, but I think it was meaningful. We're gonna need you at some point today. So you got to have a short memory and get back on track. But it's when you get them at that level, they know where their plant foot should be. They know how they should swing through the ball. They know how they should adjust if it's a bad snap and the holder hasn't adjusted the laces. So I think it's just putting confidence back in, hey, you know what to do, let's get it done.
But go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
No, just firing the kicker all the time is, and a lot of times you'll say, well, what, a guy makes a mistake on a hands team or something. I absolutely telling you. Or how about this year in football, where a young man let the ball go into the end zone, the returner, and didn't secure the football? Well, you know how many times, I wish I had a nickel for every time he was in a meeting told about the rules and walked through the rules. So that's still the human element you're dealing with. That's probably a 22-year-old kid who hadn't played special teams since he was a middle schooler. Now he's thrust in this role, which is incredibly critical, and he made him, it's an error. They're human beings, they're not Supermen. They're going to goof up. And to say fire the coach or fire the player, I guess, there's always that deal, make an error, but don't make a repetitive error. So if a guy makes a repetitive error, you're probably going to have to fire him at some point, because here's a coaching cliche, he either doesn't know or he doesn't care. So and either way, you're going to get fired.
Why don't teams hire kicking specialists?
I've heard you talk about that on the radio.
It drives me crazy that, there's an assistant defensive line coach to the assistant defensive line. You've got 30 coaches in the building, but nobody who specializes in kicking. It's not Bubba's fault that the kid missed the kick. But, golfers may know their
swing coach.
They still have a swing coach. Why don't more NFL teams invest?
How did Bubba make his living kicking the ball or covering the kick?
Exactly. This blows my mind that in a league where all these games are decided by 3 points or less, that they just flippantly treat the kickers like they're aliens.
And I think you got a legitimate point, but I've been around those kind of guys, those kicking coaches, and sometimes they're in it for the wrong reasons. The kicking coach, or it's my agenda. And you know how it is, Jason, in coaching, you have to have everybody on the same page. So if Bubba had the right kind of guy that he could try, I think when Cade York was here, they actually, the second time, I think the team brought back Cade York's kicking coach. So now Mike prefers the kicking coach, and maybe Mike wants things done a certain way, but now we have the guru over there in the corner. So I think that it's got to be a compatibility issue and being on the same page issue. And you don't want, there's certain tenets I'm sure Bubba has about kicking that he wants that, maybe not necessarily how to kick the ball or the mentality kind of thing, but you don't want some guy over there, hey, come here, I got to tell you, Bubba really doesn't know what the heck he's doing. Yeah. So I think that's the reason why maybe. And I don't know if they want to invest, because that's just the kickers. We're not going to invest another $200,000 to hire a coach, So
that blows my mind. It's the difference in winning and losing.
And I think it's more
quarterback coaches.
when scouts go on the road, I wanted scouts. That's why I think they need to spend the special teams coaches out on the road. Like, there's a lot. Darren Simmons at Cincinnati is probably one of the best in the business as a special teams coach, but an evaluator of talent. You look at the guys that he's had there, kind of no-name guys.
Yeah.
They come out of nowhere because he really knows. Because he was a kicker at Kansas State, so he knows a little bit about it. But it's a great point, and I think it's a point well taken. And I just think it's got to be that we all have to be on the same page, and we don't need someone over here telling the kid something different than what his position coach is telling him.
What do you think is, in general, the biggest difference between the players' mentality when you coached in your heyday than what we've seen now? Is it a huge difference, or the way they go about the game? And specifically, we talked about big guys, offensive line play. Either you believe that offensive line play is down, or defensive linemen are just really good.
I think that the biggest thing you've noticed is that the bigger, stronger, faster mentality. I think that truly those guys are freakish athletes, and it's, for DeJuan Jones to hold up against Miles is it tells you how good DeJuan's in, if we can keep him healthy, but he's a really gifted athlete himself. So I think the athleticism of the athletes is probably the biggest difference I've seen over time. That they're just, and that's everybody. But you know what? Everyone thinks that players, well, they see things, and what they've seen in the media and the news is, what an idiot that guy is. Doesn't he know this? But I'm telling you, 99.9% of those guys are warriors, and they take a lot of pride in what they do, and they're very athletic, and they really care a lot. So I don't know if the athlete has changed a bunch more. Even the guys that get paid, I still think when they step inside that white line, they're incredibly ultra competitive human beings. They're just, back in the day when Clay Matthews was here, a little bit different, and he was a freakish athlete when he was here, but just different athletes nowadays, I think, is the biggest thing.
We had Leroy Hort on earlier, who I know played with the Browns when you were there. We talked about with Leroy just the quarterback situation. A lot of fans, including some of us, want to see Shedeur Sanders. They have Dylan Gabriel in there. And he said a coaching staff will never just put someone in there to see what they got unless they feel they're ready.
Yeah, and I
Do you
think
agree with that?
Yeah, it's amazing that I probably listen to way too much talk radio than I should, because it's just like you want to get on the phone and just say, did you really just say that? Or I understand if it's somebody in Medina that called in and said something. Well, that's their right to say that. But when you have people that are representing the game or the sport, you would like them to be just a tick more accountable for what comes out of their mouth. But it's if Shedeur was ready to go, he'd be in, because Coach Stefanski, they all want to win there. And this isn't something like, well, he's not my guy, he's your guy, blah blah blah. I mean, we could debate why did you take two rookies. That's a debatable point, I think. But the fact that he's not playing, I think, is probably because he's not ready to play yet. And Gabriel's had four starts, so I think he needs a little bit more time before we, anoint the other guy and give him an opportunity.
I want to go back to ownership. Have you ever seen owners sit in the meetings on Fridays and Mondays pre-gaming?
Or did you ever see a female owner on the sideline with an earpiece in her ear?
That's wild too.
Yeah, Mr. Kraft used to sit in darn near every meeting.
Did he?
Yeah, and see, he came down and he would always sit in the back. Was not this, a distraction. Never said anything. And I don't think he was there because he's checking Bill out or that kind of thing. I think this is his team. And I don't think, he owns the team, but this is his team. These are his guys. And he had a really special relationship with a lot of those guys. So, but he was always there. And I can't think of another. I think you always wanted to, for me as a special teams coach, I always wanted the head coach to be in there, because that speaks volumes to the team. Unless it's Bill Cowher, and then I would just prefer that he wasn't in, because he would take over the darn meeting. But I think that Mr. Kraft might have been the only owner I've ever seen do something like that.
But he just sat in the back room?
Just sat in the back room, and
do you have a relationship with Nick still, Saban?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think he'll ever coach again, or do you think he's done?
Boy.
I only ask that because of LSU.
No, I know,
wonder if LSU
because I think about it a lot too. I just think it's, Nick always talk about the process, And honest to God, he didn't talk a lot about winning. It was the process, and if you followed his process, you would win on the field. And I think it was also about, working hard, do the right thing. And now with the NIL things and kids coming in and, I want to play right away.
Yeah.
I think he's got a problem with he can't be the kind of teacher that he wants to be, because he's really teaching men to be men. Now, granted, he would like to see them all go on and become, an NFL football player. But I think he took a lot of pride in the guys and what kind of men they were, and husbands and brothers. And I think he doesn't know if that environment that's presently in college football would allow him to be that kind of guy.
When you look at the Cleveland Browns, this is like a '95. My family is diehard Browns fans. We used to have every single team picture from like 1989 all the way just put up in it. And so when you look at that the team picture, you start to point out the different coaches that went on to do great things. When you were on that staff and you were with some of those individuals, did you guys kind of know that you had the potential to have a lot of guys from Saban and other guys that would go on to do great things as coaches?
This is like asking you, did I think Brady as a sixth rounder was going to be who he was? But no, Nick carried himself in a certain way. He was a head coach at where was he? Was it Kent State or was he Toledo? And then
Kent, both. No, Nick.
Yeah,
Nick was at Kent.
So he had a little bit of that demeanor. Not that he was threatening Bill or anything, but I guess you kind of knew that they were excellent teachers. Kurt Ferentz came in, and you kind of knew right away that he was a heck of a line coach. Never raised his voice. Was a great teacher. We had so many excellent coaches that were there. That I don't know if you ever looked at it and said, "Holy smokes!" I remember when Nick. We were getting ready for that one year we were in the playoffs. He was accepted the job at Michigan State. So he's really juggling two balls in the air right now. So he's doing his Michigan State stuff, trying to pull that together, recruitment, and making sure that we were ready to play in the playoffs. So I don't know. I was in awe of all of them because I was the young guy in the group, and they were just like they had forgotten more than I probably still don't know right now. So, but not sure I ever knew that Nick was going to be the greatest collegiate football coach ever, right. And they got a statue in front of Bryant Stadium, and it's Nick Saban. I didn't see. Just like I didn't know Brady was going to be the GOAT.
Right. What are your memories or recollections of the last season here in '95 and the team moving?
Well, Jason, I got out of here. My last season was the '94 season, '95 playoffs. '95. So I took a job with the Raiders to be their special teams coach. So I left after the playoff run. We beat the Patriots here, yeah. And then we went and lost to Pittsburgh. So that was my last thing. But you stay in touch because they're still your guys. It's still your team, so to speak. So they got off to, if I recall, they got off to a great start.
Yep.
And then I think they had Mr. Modell announce the move, and then the wheels came off the cart at that point. And I don't know if they lost the game to Detroit. Barry Sanders went off, and then after that it was hard to guys. It's tough enough to keep guys' attention focused on what it takes to win, and and then now you don't know what your future holds. Well, where am I going to be? Am I going to be able to go with the new team, or where am I going to live? Where are my kids going to go to school? So it was a lot of crazy stuff, but I wasn't here when that happened. But a lot of the guys that I coached with were, and it was tough.
You talked about continuity earlier, and I'm just curious from a big picture standpoint. I think we all like the word continuity, but sometimes continuity, if the results aren't there, just for the sake of continuity, can be counterproductive. When you look at the situation, we can use Cleveland as an example, but I'm not talking about Stefanski and Barry in particular, just in general. When you have back-to-back seasons that just don't go the way you planned, and the Browns won 3 games last year, they have 2 wins now. Where do you fall on the spectrum of continuity just because continuity in general is a good thing versus continuity when the results don't match keeping continuity?
I think whatever you do, you better be doing something, continuity or not, that's going to give your team the best chance to win. I think that's what it's got to be. I don't think, we've always done it that way, so that's the way we're going to do it. Well, this is a really ebb and flow type of situation, week to week, season to season. So I think you have to be consistent as a leader. These are the rules. This is how we're going to do things. I just think the guys need to know, even these guys, professionals need to know that this is what we're all about, and this is acceptable or this is not acceptable. But I think you have to change what's going to give the guys the best chance to win, offensively, defensively. So I think those are things that have to, have an ebb and flow to it. But I still think there has to be, the guys need to know that this is what we're all about, and it starts at the top. And it's, whether it's your owner, who, I don't know if the owner's the guy, or it's got to be the coaching staff, I think, where you got to have some consistency throughout.
Kind of related. We've got to wrap, right? Are we
Yeah, time
close?
for one more, yeah.
When do you know it's time to fire a coach?
They always say when they lose the locker room, and I think, and I don't know, and you know when that's going to happen. I've been in a few of those locker rooms where you had 4 or 5 games left to go, and the cars are packed and warmed up in the parking lot, and you just knew that was happening. So I think that when the message is not being heard, and then it's not being heard because you're not seeing it on the field. So I think that that's probably a time where you lose the guys, and the bulk of those guys are going to be back next year. So they're going to leave with a bad taste in their mouth and bring that same thing back the following year. So I'm guessing that's when, it's a tough thing where the guys aren't listening to the message anymore.
Awesome. Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming in. This has been a
great.
pleasure. Some terrific insight. That is
Thanks
Coach
very
Kevin
much.
Yes,
Spencer,
appreciate
former Browns coach, 3 decades worth in the NFL, and a Super Bowl champion, even though he's not wearing the ring right
No,
now. So, Coach,
I live in Cleveland now. You can't walk around with that on your finger very often.
Yeah, right.
awesome. Coach Spencer, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much. Pleasure
Guys,
to
we
be
got
here.
Super Chats coming up. Before we do that, a quick word from Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, or your next Lyft ride. But Built, it's not just about rent, it's about rewarding your entire neighborhood. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That is joinbuilt, joinbilt.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure you use that link so they know we sent you. Also, hit the subscribe button. We are just shy of 75,000 subscribers. It is a very cool number, and it will get Steve Becker to stop texting me about promoting subscriptions. So thank you for hitting that subscribe button. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your cousins, tell your brothers, tell your sisters to subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. It costs $0.00. Help us out, guys.
That was one of the best interviews that I
That was
think
awesome.
we've had.
That was very
I
insightful.
could talk football with him and hear them stories
All day long.
all day long,
Yep.
man. It was a great interview. Great interview.
All right, Super Chats. What
You guys
got?
ready? All right. This one isn't a super chat, but I do want to start with it because KSTO22 renewed their membership for 23 months, and they're just excited that it's been almost 2 years that they've
Wow.
been a member. So shout out
We appreciate you.
KSTO for sticking with us.
Thank you.
First one today comes from Akron Hot Saucers. Why are there not more two-way players like Travis Hunter? Is it a skill thing, an endurance thing, or better to be great at one position than okay at two?
I mean, it's exhausting playing one position in the NFL, let alone trying to play two. And I do think that there's something to be said for the fact that you have to devote so much time. There's just not enough time in the day. These guys are in there hours and hours and hours in the building for one spot.
Right.
It's just not feasible.
Yeah, you got to be super cold. And plus, the high end. So you telling me I got to go against like Denzel Ward if I'm a receiver and then turn around and cover Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
It's very, very, very rare.
You got to be super cold, super talented, super in shape. And there ain't that many people out there in the world like that.
All right, next one comes from James Mace 47. Mikey, if the Grizzlies offered Ja Morant for DG straight up, would you do it?
Not a chance.
No way.
Ja's an awesome basketball player. Super talented. I would not want Ja Morant within a 20-mile radius of my basketball
I completely agree. It goes back to the culture we were talking about earlier.
Not a chance. Real quick, just curious. Would you do it?
John,
for DG?
I'm cool.
All right.
I'm straight. Shout out to John Moran. I'm cool.
Also,
though.
don't think John and Don would mesh and play off each other the same way.
And they don't have he's a very athletic player, but I don't think skill wise his skill set in terms of shooting, dribbling, passing, all those things. I think Darius is better than him.
Ja had that one year where he had the incredible second team All NBA season. His efficiency since that year has gone down year after year after year after year, and it's not bad, But like when he was hyper efficient, it was like, oh my God. Like,
I mean, he
he's
got
just not that anymore.
when he got suspended, it felt like he just lost a little bit of his superpowers a little bit. Lost a little bit of just he ain't been the same type player.
Yeah. All right, Ant.
Next one from Lincia Wade. Jason, please explain the logic in the Browns refusing to trade a receiver this season as a prep for the trade deals they want to do next year.
To trade one of their receivers on the roster now, who would want them?
Or trade? You mean trade for them? Or trade for a receiver?
Refusing to trade a receiver. this
Refusing
season.
to trade a receiver?
Yes.
There's no one on the Browns.
Who would they
Who
want?
would want any of the? We just talked about how it's the worst receiving core in football.
Nobody's going to
possibly.
touch Judy's contract right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and the other guys, they're not going to bring back anything of any sort of value.
Yeah, I don't think they have. Think they have value in those picks, or the guys that they got on the roster.
I mean, I'm being genuine. Like, no one wants Judy's contract right now.
No.
The way he's playing. Does Ced Tillman have any trade
I
value?
mean, he'll get you a sixth, a
Hey, man,
seventh.
I went back in the time machine and I just gave myself a general project stockpile. I went back and was just like, you know what, General, you ain't the Duke and knee jerk when it comes to wide receivers. You told them they was nasty work on the receiving court, but I don't get no extra credit points for it because they still's garbage right now. I would take wins.
All right, Ant, what's next?
Next, we have James Mace 47. If the Colts offered 2 first rounds for Denzel Ward, should the Browns do it?
Yes.
Yes.
Is anybody offering 2 first round picks
No.
for Denzel
No,
Ward?
you're not getting no two.
He doesn't have value because of the concussion history.
Right, and he's
And the
older.
contract.
And he's
older,
older than
yeah.
Sauce Gardner. Like,
Yeah.
nah.
And if they could have got 2 for Denzel,
Oh, they probably would
you have to
I mean,
say
I don't
yes.
know the cap hits on him and everything else. And he's a tremendous player.
Yeah.
Love having him on this team. But just the overall outlook of the health history.
he's
and
4 years older than Sauce too.
Yeah.
So
no one's giving you 2 ones for him.
It's your boyo 1987. Y'all can say that you can't evaluate Dylan because of his lack of weapons, but ignore the fact that he can't hit guys when they're wide open. Make it make sense.
Oh, he gonna get evaluated. He's getting evaluated right now.
yeah.
I'm telling you, the people gonna be looking this game. I want to see. I was not looking forward to watching this game, but I really am looking forward to it because I want to see if it looks any different.
Who on this show has said that Dylan has played well?
It's a mythical myth that any of us are happy with how Dylan.
To my knowledge, nobody has said Dylan has played well.
I think the highest grade any of us have given Dylan in his 4 starts is a C+.
I think I might have given him a B after the Minnesota
Or maybe
game.
maybe
I
a B at
think
the
I
minute.
think Jay gave him a B- after 1 game.
That was
I don't
preseason.
remember.
That was
Oh, it was
preseason. That was when
preseason?
him and
Okay.
Earl got into the fight.
Yeah, but ain't nobody really said that Dylan Gabriel been good for a long
no,
time.
Dylan's done nothing. Like he showed.
Now, here's the thing. I think people are frustrated because they haven't made the switch. But I can't. I mean, I can sit up here and you know what I already said. I can sit up here and jump on the table. That ain't got nothing to do with what the Cleveland Browns gonna do.
Yeah.
That's up to them. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Miss Bell 70 says explain what they're going to do with a new quarterback. Hopefully win.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got a lot of holes. I think they got a lot. I mean, they got a lot.
They need a receiver. They need a left tackle.
They need a whole line.
Yeah.
They need.
Yeah.
They got some holes.
They ain't fixing this in one draft. Said that before. They're still going to have holes after next year.
Oh, what you mean?
But
They got a bunch of this is the thing too. Nobody's gonna bail the Browns out. Here's what we gotta understand. They're gonna have to draft their ass off.
yes.
Yeah.
No one's gonna be there ain't no easy, we about to let it
You need
there's
2-3 classes like this class in a row.
in a row.
Yeah.
Because we forget they've whiffed on so many people that they just came and went that they've been so bad that they don't play for nobody else.
And for as good and everyone has raved about this draft
Right.
class, and rightfully so. It wasn't a left tackle and it wasn't a quarterback and it wasn't a receiver.
They're missing the three most important
Like-
positions.
Like they did really well at getting middle
Schlesinger.
linebacker and a defensive tackle.
But some would argue those positions are easier to hit
the
on.
quote unquote
sure.
safest to draft. Yeah.
Defense, you could find really good defensive linemen, especially if you take them in the top 10.
Yeah.
You could find a running back a dime a dozen in other different places.
Yeah.
Where you get paid is, did you draft the right quarterback? Did you draft the right lineman? No,
Yep.
we didn't. And do you have a receiver and a quarter? You don't got those. So, yeah, and we're going to have to bank on them hitting on those.
That bailout was Deshaun Watson, and you saw how that went. Annie OG says, I'm late, but I was a contract buyer at the finance company for Kirby and Westlake United Consumer, and you're all awesome. Help my day at work go by fast.
I was at the Westlake
Man.
Kirby.
Yesterday, it's crazy.
No,
I
North
saw
Olmsted.
you there.
North Olmsted.
Oh, boo.
I worked out of the North Olmsted plant or office or whatever.
And let us find
Over
out
by
that
Great
Jason's
Northern
paying
Mall.
for the addition to his home by selling Kirby vacuum still on the side.
Hey, man,
Like,
Kirby,
I was wondering who was knocking on my door yesterday. I
back
thought it was the
then,
pavement people outside.
hey man, I'll
but-
be watching this nostalgia stuff on Instagram, and I really gave me nostalgia, like, because back then people used to, like, there was people who sold Sports Illustrated door to door, Ginsu knives and knife sets.
Hold up, I got a knife story real quick.
See, look,
My
see?
buddy Afro Pat, who, if you couldn't guess,
Shout out to Alfred Pratt.
big dude with the fro,
Yeah.
has been he was a journalism major, was the single worst journalism student in the entire school. Passed, but whatever the GPA that you had to pass, like passed by 0.1. He played soccer and basketball at Emerson. Incredible athlete. We got into Cutco knife sales door
Yeah.
to door when he got out of college.
Cutco
He
knives.
came to visit and stay with me for a night, brought it, like his whole set to see if my parents would want to buy one. They ended up buying a knife. This was 2016.
Yeah.
To this day, it's the best damn knife
Oh
they
yeah.
ever bought.
Yeah, they're legit.
To this day, when I go home, my dad's like, guess what knife I'm using? I'm like,
Remi-
Afro Pats? He's like, yep.
remi-
9 years ago, Jason.
yeah.
Remind me to tell you, in my first wedding, I had a story where I went through Homeland Security with like 16 like of the Black Ops Army knives.
Oh Lord.
I went 16 of them.
That's not going to end well, G.
Yeah, they were wedding gifts, and I put them in my carry-on bag.
How'd that go for you?
And
I can't believe you're still sitting here.
And they stopped me. And a dude, it was somebody, and my ex-wife goes through, and it was in her bag. They stopped her, and she turns around, and she was down the right. She was like, "It was all him." And I'm looking like, "What?" They're like, "Sir, please come with me." Now we're on the way to go get married. We're like in Florida.
Oh my goodness.
And so yeah, they were like, I was like, dude, they were like, yeah, sir, are these your knives? I was like, oh yeah, they're engraved and everything. Let me show you. And they're like, sir,
You cannot take
you
knives.
cannot take. You can't have liquid.
My brother, we were coming back
That's
from
funny.
San Diego. He bought like a little pocket knife.
Yeah.
Boy,
My brother was 7, 8, like kid.
boy.
Yeah.
Went through TSA. They flagged him. They took him back to like the detainee room.
Oh.
For it. My brother's like, he's like yay tall. It was like still traumatizing to this day for him. Like he
Oh,
still
no.
hates going through TSA
Yeah.
for a little Leatherman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Could you think about it? You got 16 of them joints, and
yeah,
like,
and yours are big.
and they're big. They got like a bottle opener. There's the Rambo knife on them. They got a blowtorch.
goodness
And this dude
gracious.
is looking at me like, listen,
RPG?
sir, do you understand we can send you to Guantanamo Bay?
Hey, I
Just
got
with that.
stopped in Dubai Customs for having malaria medicine when I went to Africa.
Oh wow.
I've never been more afraid of my life. I still
Smuggler.
have nightmares.
All right, super
All
chat.
right,
we got
next
some
up,
more.
Big Nick TT. The Browns are not trying to win at all. You don't trade your opening starting quarterback if you are trying to win.
You just figuring that out?
Look, he just now came. He typed that in all caps.
Been telling you that since May.
Next.
June.
Miss Bell 70, Leroy, they're playing DG to see what he's got. DG through pick 6 has all the reps with the ones. That's BS. Leroy, DG doesn't have the basics.
Okay, next.
It's Shiboyo. How do we know the exact evaluation of Shador off of two quarters of a preseason, but we can't evaluate DG after 4 games? It's just ridiculous. Desmond says, why are y'all holding on to Shador? If you don't think he can play, cut him and set him free.
We're not doing that.
It's not going to happen.
Miss Bell, Jason, and Leroy re-said last week that Shador is ready. Why was he lying? Why are you keeping a player that is that slow? Said DG got it. Is that true? Stop.
I didn't understand that.
I don't know. Next.
I read it word for word. James Mace 47. Wait, I'm confused because I thought the Browns was winging it this whole time.
Yeah.
Sounds.
Kinda.
I can believe
Armac
it.
Dog 4774 says Leroy said that he's not speaking from knowledge. At the same time, he's asserting that Sanders isn't ready. My problem is that the assessors in the building aren't credible. They missed on every quarterback they've had.
It's fact.
Okay.
That's,
It's your boy. How can the player say anything if he hasn't gotten any reps with the one? He also says Ocho said he talked to Denzel and he said he was ready.
Here's what I always say. I put this in the chat. I was like, you know what the great thing about football is?
we're gonna find out.
You gonna find out.
Yeah.
And so at one point in time, he's gonna play, and either we're gonna be right, wrong, or it can be somewhere in between, a mixed bag. It's the way it works.
If he plays well, it's a credit to him. If he plays poorly, everyone's going to blame the talent around him. That's the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
Actually, I can't. Actually, you're right.
Unfortunately, it's exactly how it's gonna go. And do we have any more?
We got a bunch more, but
Okay.
we got overtime coming up. So here, I'll read as many as I can in 30
Fly,
seconds.
fly through.
All right, VZ says, if y'all think the locker room supports this quarterback, you're insane. They play each Sunday knowing that the offense has no chance. Then DG Brat says, the perfect scenario for me is that Sanders becomes our franchise quarterback for years to come, and this unchin cult magically disappears.
See you in overtime. Peace.